All right, there's something I wanted to share. I'm fighting a sinus infection, so I'm feeling kind of dizzy and out of it. But this download's kind of coming to me. Um, oh, something that I woke up to at some point, I guess, was that I guess this is also one of the ways that you recognize that you can one of the gifts that you have, when you're on an awakening journey and when you're moving with God, is that you are a master manifester. However, it's like, I guess just in some way you're accepting that there's all this karma that you're also having to clear, and in order to get to your dharma or something like that. And when I was first living with my mom, we were fighting almost not every day, but like every other day. It was always these new, it was like the rules just kept changing. She was always trying to like give me advice on how I should be parenting, and it was just like always these circular conversations. And something that always stood out to me, she would spend all day long. She spends most of her day talking to people on the phone. She works people. And then I found anyway, so and then she kicked us out. There were a couple other times where I was gaslit, and she never apologized for any of that, any of the behavior, any of the time she was hurtful and cruel to me, made me cry, like whatever. And then it was just like, okay, like they just act like, okay, that it's blown over, it's fine now. There's never any reparation, never any like apologies, or let's not treat each other that way, and then after I was living with my dad in a rental, and then we moved into this place, and there was some crazy stuff in the beginning. Like 2020, my mom got wild, and she was like doing the most when it came to like staying, sanitizing and stuff like that. And then she didn't want us over there because I refused to get the vaccine or wear a mask. I wore a mask where places that made me, but otherwise I wasn't wearing a mask. And she wouldn't let us come over there. And which is funny because then she like let it go eventually. Anyway, and my child was not about to wear a mask. He was not. I attempted it with him, but it was a no. And then we went there, we were there for Thanksgiving, and she was telling me she needed some help with her house because I was talking about what I was trying to figure out for work. And to this day, my kid has never been in full-time school. He only ever did part-time. So, and his dad has lived in another state since we split. So, and my parents have always worked full-time. So I didn't have like another person to help me out with him. And then when he was in school, I was like, well, you can come over here and do some like housework for me and like whatever. I was like, okay. So I started doing that. And then we kind of like, we had some kind of conversation where I remember I like opened up to her about some of my struggles or something like that. And I remember feeling like, okay, things are better with us. And it was what I had to wake up to is like, that was like a fantasy that I had, and like my subconscious, or just like always that I've carried with me. Like my Chiron in Cancer is probably just, it's always going to be like, there's always going to be a part of me that wants to have like a 10 of cups. But when I walked away, that's when let me not get ahead of myself. Like, so then things were amazing. I mean, amazing is a strong word, but like it was almost like magical. Like, and I mean the way I took pictures of like my mom's like pool, it was so beautiful out there, and like it's just serene. And like where she lived was like a bunch of trees, and it was quiet neighborhood. And see, I'm losing. I feel dizzy when I don't get enough air. Teddy loved going over there and playing, and she had a big yard, and she would had a hole upstairs he could play in, and it was just because we had there were all kinds of behaviors I was dealing with for the first few years with Teddy. And even now it still happens sometimes. Like he used to have meltdowns and stuff, and we'll be here all day on all the crazy stories about different things. So anyway, it took me a long time to like adapt to, and it still is hard because having a child that's unpredictable, like he doesn't elope from me anymore. That was terrifying when we were in stores. So once he does wander, he will still get lost sometimes if I don't keep him with me. But anyway, it just took me a long time to adapt to all that. And like, and we didn't have a ton of, so we didn't have, and he was kicked out of daycares and stuff. So it was like, we were rejected a lot. So it was like having a place like my mom's to go to was wonderful because he could swim and play, and it was awesome. And so it was like, I had to wake up to that when I finally walked away, as I was like, and then she would always like, we would always have these circular conversations when it came to work, and people were asking her like, why are you not helping your daughter work? And she would tell me she worked 60-hour weeks and she didn't have time to keep Teddy. She would be there and take time off when we were there, but she would never babysit for me. And so eventually that was the main reason that I walked away. And then it was added to the final was like, okay, now it's time to part ways, was when she lost one of her jobs and she wanted me to move into a trailer on the same property as her, and still didn't have a solution for me for like work wise, but she was like, well, you can just do this until you figure something else out. And I was like, no, like we do not work well together, and you know this. And that was like my nightmare. Like not really my nightmare, but it was like a nightmarish kind of situation. I was like, holy shit, like my parents have this whole other idea of like, I'm never going to be able to make it. And my mom would give me like horror stories, not all bad, but like, I mean, there are people that they live with their kids forever. And I don't hate that concept, but I'm like, I don't want that to be a reason that I don't do what I want to do. Like I had already been doing all this healing work, and the tarot thing came to me later. But I was like, no, I'm going to be doing healing work. Like I wanted to get an RV. I was like, no. And because we homeschool, and I'm like, our life isn't just going to stop because my kid is autistic and his dad's not here. And, so that was kind of the final straw that I walked away. But then I woke up to the fact that it was like, I was trying to like play out a fantasy with my mom, because she wasn't like my partner, obviously, but like she was in a lot of ways, because she helped me to find therapists for Teddy. She would talk with me, and we would have like adult time. We talked about a lot of the things she wanted to, but I realized that because I talked to myself a lot. I'm like, and I used to have friends and we would talk on the phone. I'm like, I do enjoy like conversation. Like that's something that I really enjoy, and you don't have it when you're a mom. And like, I'm not out. I don't have like friends that I like. I always talk with people when we're in public, and I used to do that when I was at the gym all the time. I am also very introverted, so I'm a mix, but it was just adult time. She would make food for us. She would send food with us. When he was in the pool in the afternoons, I'd have a drink and I'd be chilling. And it was a mental break for me, and kind of, because I still had to keep my track of my kid, but it was very much a mental break. And it was like this fantasy that I had of like things being cute and peachy with my family. And I had to wake up to that. So that's one of the things that's scary. It's scary when you're someone who's so aware and you're truly seeking truth, and God's working with you and giving you discernment. So that's where at some point you recognize, like, I have to get away from these people, because they only want to pull me off path. They only want to waste my time. They only want to make things seem cute and peachy, but they're really grooming me for some other kind of timeline that's not the one that God made for me. And that to me, it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just terror. It was terror was the feeling. And it was like, it took me, I still remember, like, it wasn't that day, it was like the next day, and I just had to, because I had to put my foot down a couple of times, because my mom would always pull other people into her plots. Like she got my dad on board with it, and she was like, well, your dad agrees that you should, whatever. And it was like, so I always had to like fully stand up for myself. And at that, and I'm still in a place of like, and all this time we haven't just like run away or had all this money to like fix everything or whatever. And, but you also were like you're healing all this stuff with like your struggles with like trust or it was like that for me. It has been that for me. And creating the safety within yourself again, and feeling safe with people again. And you just really keep coming back to, every time you get people that like pull you around or are bullies to you or tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing, it just keeps reiterating that you're like, I'd rather be solo. I'd rather be with God and doing what, this like slow track. Because if it's hard to explain it fulfills you in a way that like being around people who only want to waste your time, it's excruciating. So I think then you just keep coming back to like this acceptance that it's like, I don't know what Soul Tribe looks like. I don't know if they're ever going to be a physical aspect of my life. I don't know if I'm actually going to have a divine partner, but I'm willing to do this slow journey because I would only really want what God has ordained, because I don't want to ever get in. I don't want to get caught in that. You want your soul is demanding that freedom, kind of. It's like you're like, I don't want to ever get caught in a situation where my subconscious is just playing out a story and the people around me are just playing the characters and they're not reflecting to me, hey, you're off track, or hey, this is an illusion. So that's to me too why it's like it can be incredibly painful for, like these, like if someone comes into your life but y'all aren't ready to be, to be each other's person or whatever, it's incredibly painful, like having to let that go. Yet you do it, you will always appreciate it more because you're like, I don't want to be in an illusion. Like, I don't know how, it's so weird because it's so hard to like define it with words, but it's like, it's just the worst feeling. It's awful. And I don't want to hate, because I also don't want to hate people. I'm like, I don't want to hate my family because they did that, and I was agreeing to it, and there's like, I guess, an acceptance to this. Like, other people can't see the track for your life, so it's like it's not their fault that. I do think that it is that way with your kingdom person, or with people who are also choosing, but because they have to keep doing their shadow work so they don't pull you into some bullshit either, because comfort is very addictive. Like, there's so many temptations and so many rabbit holes, and that's too why you just cherish your relationship with God, because it's so easy to fall into something and God is the only one who's going to get you back out, your higher self, you saving yourself. Yeah, sorry, I'm like struggle bus today. Okay, but I wanted to share that. All right, love you guys.